Okay, so how can you get rid of back pain as a GA player or as an athlete in general? So again, there's different types of back pain, and if it's something that's been bothering you for a while, I would definitely go to your GP or go to a physio to have a look. However, for a lot of GA players and a lot of athletes in general, there's a couple of tweaks that you can do to make sure that your lower back isn't pulling. It's really, really common now, particularly with lifestyle where people are working in offices and sitting down for long periods during the day, that your back can tighten up, particularly your lower back, and then it can have a direct impact on your performance on the pitch because you're not feeling loose, you're feeling tight, or you have a twinge in that region, or it starts to tighten up through your hips and you can't take off as quickly and you can't twist and turn as sharply as you normally would. So one of the main things to look out for when you're getting that lower back pain, assuming that it's not a long-term condition that you have, and if you're working a sedentary job where you're sitting down a lot or you're driving a lot, it's very important that when you're in the gym that you're doing a lot of movements that are getting your glutes to fire and getting your glutes to activate. What happens when we're sitting down all day or you're driving for long periods of the day, and I'm very active but I still drive 2 hours a day, so my lower back gets tight, my hip flexors get very, very tight, so I make sure that I'm doing a lot of glute work in the gym. So what you need to do is getting that activation, because when you're sitting down all day at a desk and you're typing or you're sitting, you're driving, what's happening is you're rolling forward through your hips, you're tightening up your hip flexors, and you're switching off your glutes. So you want to make sure that when you're in the gym, you're doing movement patterns, your reverse lunges, your barbell box squats, your sumo deadlifts, whatever variation of glute exercises you're doing that are getting those muscles to activate and fire. Because what it'll do is it'll pull everything back into alignment, it'll take some of that tension off your hip flexor, and it'll loosen up your lower back as a result. Normally your lower back being tight as an athlete comes from a combination of your glute not firing, a weakness in your kinetic chain somewhere, so hamstrings being too tight, or your hip flexors or quads or that region of your body being too tight. So the best way is to hit it from a threefold approach, and this is what I do with people that come through my GA Lean Body program. It's what I do myself personally anytime I feel my lower back twinging. One is making sure that you're in the gym using your glute activation movements and you're getting that muscle to fire so it's pulling everything back into alignment. Two is keeping everything through your kinetic chain loose, so your hamstrings, your calves, your lats even to a degree, everything up that part of your body, all to the back, you're keeping loose so that you're not tightening up the region around your lower back. If, for example, and I always use that, when a muscle stops firing, like your glutes or your hamstrings, it's kind of like when you're in a tug of war. If you were in a tug of war with 5 of your mates and one of them stopped pulling, it makes it way harder for the other 4 people. That's what happens when one of your muscles in your kinetic chain switches off. So if your glutes aren't firing, your hamstring has to work harder, your lower back has to work harder, and that as a result you can get strains in those regions. So you can keep that loose by doing trigger point tension on your hamstrings, doing foam rolling on your lats to a degree if they're getting tight, and you're keeping everything through that kinetic chain loose. The last thing then is making sure that you're keeping your hip flexors and your quads loose, your TFL, your IT band, your inside of your quad, your foam rolling, your myofascial release, so that you're releasing any tension that's coming up through your hip flexor, and that hip flexor is tying into your lower back. So if your hip flexor is too tight, you're going to get a strain on your lower back. You can fix this with dynamic and static stretches to the hips. For example, in my GA Lean Body program, there's Bulgarian split squats where you're using body weight and you're holding in the bottom of the move so that you're releasing everything through your hip flexor. Some people then have a twist and a turn, so you're getting a deeper stretch again. And also combining that with myofascial release, foam rolling on your quads, your TFL, your IT bands, so you're keeping everything through that region loose. When you do this, you take a lot of your pain off your lower back. And the majority of us that are playing GA or in a high level sport or training a lot or sitting a lot or driving a lot, we are at risk of having lower back issues. So staying on top of that is crucial. What I normally do is 15-20 minutes at the end of a workout, do your recovery strategy, which has got your foam rolling in the front of your quads, your dynamic and static stretches through the hips, a little bit of trigger point tension through your hamstrings, and a little bit of direct glute firing, glute activation work during your workout. When you combine this 2, 3, 4 times a week, depending on how tight your lower back is, it's going to ramp your performance to the next level. It's going to improve your entire way of being in your life, because you're not going to have that lower back pain, which can really affect the way you feel. I know when my back pulls, it's one of those that can be really mood hindering injuries. So you can stay on top of that when you're getting things like your glutes to fire, you're keeping your kinetic chain loose, you're going to be faster, you're going to be sharper, twisting and turning, you're going to move your performance to the next level, you're going to be able to train harder in the gym, and you're going to feel better throughout the day. So my advice would recipe is combine those three things and try and take that lower back pain out of your area of pain in your body, and hopefully it'll support you going forward. So if you know anybody that has lower back issues or plays GEA and gets tight around their hips or around that region, or wants to improve their glute firing or activating, please tag them below. Hope the video helped.